The transport shuttle touched down on Meridian 7 with a soft hiss. Hanjiwoo gathered her single bag and stepped into the docking bay. The station was enormous. Ships of every size filled the massive space, and aliens of dozens of species moved through the crowds. She had never seen so many different kinds of beings in one place. Jiwoo pulled her sleeve down over her right hand. The scars there were thick and white against her skin. More scars traced up her arm, disappearing under her uniform. The left side of her face carried 3 long marks from her temple to her jaw. She was used to the stares by now. A small alien with blue skin and 4 arms approached her. "Medical Officer Han Jiwoo, please follow me to the medical bay." The walk through the station took 15 minutes. Jiwoo watched everything carefully. Predator species walked on one side of the corridors. Their eyes were sharp, their movements confident. Prey species kept to the other side, moving in groups, their ears constantly turning to catch sounds of danger. Humans walked down the middle, belonging to neither group. The medical bay was clean and bright. Equipment lined the walls, some of it familiar, much of it strange. A tall alien with features like a deer stood waiting. His hands shook slightly as he introduced himself. "I am Dr. Kale. Welcome to Meridian 7. I will show you our procedures." His voice was soft, nervous. "You should know that predator species often test new staff, especially humans. They think we are weak because we are small." Jiwoo nodded but said nothing. She had heard this before. Dr. Kell showed her the supply rooms, the emergency protocols, and the different equipment for different species. "Predator species have their own treatment area," he explained. "They make prey species nervous. We try to keep everyone comfortable." They were reviewing a patient chart when the doors slammed open. A massive figure entered, ducking through the doorway. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, covered in golden fur marked with dark stripes. His face was like a lion's, with amber eyes and sharp teeth visible when he spoke. A military uniform stretched across his broad shoulders. "I need treatment," the creature announced. His voice rumbled like thunder. "Training accident." Dr. Kale's ears flattened against his head. "Of course, Commander Velthrax. Please sit here." The commander was a Krathan, one of the most powerful predator species in the galaxy. Jiwoo had read about them during her journey. They were warriors, proud and aggressive. They respected only strength. Dr. Kyle's hands shook as he prepared supplies. Commander Velthrax noticed and snorted with amusement. "Calm yourself, Prey. I am not hunting today." Jiwoo stepped forward. "I will handle this, Dr. Kale. Please check on the patients in room 3. The doctor looked relieved and hurried away. Jiwoo began examining the commander's injury. It was a deep cut across his forearm, bleeding slowly. She cleaned it with steady hands. Commander Velthrax stared at her scars. His lips pulled back, showing more teeth. It might have been a smile. "What happened to you, little human? Did you lose a fight with a food processor?" Other predators in the waiting area laughed. A reptilian alien hissed with amusement. A wolf-like being barked once, sharp and mocking. Jiwoo said nothing. She continued cleaning the wound, her movements efficient and calm. "No, wait." Velthrax continued, his voice growing louder. "I know what this is. You ran from something dangerous, yes? And it caught you anyway. Even human healers look like they lost their battles." More laughter filled the room. Jiwoo began stitching the wound closed. Her scarred hands worked without trembling. "Tell me, healer." The commander leaned closer. His breath smelled like meat. "Did you get those scars running from something that ate the rest of your pack?" Jiwoo tied off the final stitch. She looked directly into his amber eyes. Most humans could not meet a predator's gaze. Most would look away, showing submission. She did not look away. "I got them holding something down," she said quietly. The laughter stopped. Commander Velthrax's eyes narrowed. For a moment, the room was completely silent. Then he laughed again, but it sounded different this time, less certain. Brave words from something so small. "You are finished?" "Yes, keep it dry for 2 days. Come back if it opens again." The commander stood towering over her. "I am sure it will be fine. We Krathan heal quickly." He looked at her scars one more time, then left. The other predators followed him out, still chuckling among themselves. Dr. Kale returned once they were gone. That was very brave. Or very foolish. With predators, it is often hard to tell the difference. Jiwoo cleaned her workspace. "He was testing me. They always do." "And you passed?" "I survived." That is usually enough. The rest of her shift was quieter. She treated a human with a broken finger, a small alien with a respiratory problem, and a prey species with anxiety so severe he could barely speak. She was gentle with all of them, her scarred hands careful and steady. As the shift ended, a human man in a diplomatic uniform entered. He was older, maybe 45, with gray in his hair and kind eyes. Medical Officer Han Jiwoo? I am Ambassador Yoon Daeho. Welcome to Meridian 7. Thank you, Ambassador. Please walk with me. He led her to a quiet observation deck overlooking the planet below. Stars glittered in the darkness beyond. I specifically requested that you be transferred here. Jiwoo looked at him with surprise. Why? Because of what happened on Gyeongsan 4. Because of what you learned there. He paused, choosing his words carefully. There is a situation developing on this station, something that requires someone with your particular skills and experience. What kind of situation? I cannot give you details yet, but I need you to be ready. When the time comes, I will ask you to do something very difficult, something dangerous. He looked at her scars. But I believe you are the only one who can do it. Jiwoo touched the marks on her face without thinking. It was an old habit. I am just a medical officer, Ambassador. No, Yoon Daeho said softly. You are much more than that. You just do not realize it yet. He left her there on the observation deck. Jiwoo stood alone, watching the stars and wondering what he meant. Below her, the station hummed with life. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds all living together in an uneasy peace. She pulled her sleeve down over her scars again and headed to her quarters. Tomorrow would bring more patience, more stares, probably more mockery from predators who thought her scars meant weakness. They did not understand. None of them did, but perhaps someday they would learn. The station lights dimmed as the cycle shifted to night. In her small room, Jiwoo lay in bed and remembered another place, another time. She remembered teeth and claws and blood. She remembered making a choice that changed everything. She remembered the moment she decided not to run. Those memories never left her. They lived in her scars, written on her skin like words in a language only she could read. Tomorrow someone would mock them again. Someone would see them as weakness, as failure. Let them, she thought. Let them laugh. They would learn the truth eventually. They always did. 3 days passed quietly. Jiwoo fell into the rhythm of the medical bay. She treated injuries, dispensed medicine, and learned the names of regular patients. Dr. Kale warmed to her presence, though he still jumped at every loud noise. A human security officer named Choi Minho started visiting during his breaks. He was tall for a human, with an easy smile and watchful eyes. You handled Commander Velthrax well, he said one afternoon. Most new arrivals would have been intimidated. Being intimidated does not help patients, Jiwoo replied simply. Minho laughed. Fair point. But still, it was impressive. He has made 3 other medical officers request transfers off the station. Jiwoo shrugged and continued organizing supplies. Minho watched her work for a moment, then said, You do not talk much about yourself. There's not much to say. Those scars suggest otherwise. She looked at him. Her expression was not angry, just distant. Everyone has scars. Mine are just easier to see. Minho nodded slowly. All right, I can respect that. He stood to leave. But if you ever want someone to talk to, I am a good listener. After he left, Dr. Kale whispered, He is right, you know. About the scars. Everyone wonders, but no one dares to ask. Good, Jiwoo said. The morning of the 4th day started normally. Then the alarm sounded. Medical emergency in the diplomatic wing, the station's computer announced. All available medical personnel respond immediately. Jiwoo grabbed her kit and ran. Dr. Kale followed behind her, his hooves clattering on the metal floor. They reached the diplomatic wing within minutes. A crowd had gathered outside one of the conference rooms. Security officers held people back. Through the gaps, Jiwoo could see blood on the floor. Let us through, she said firmly. The security officers recognized her uniform and stepped aside. Inside the room, chaos. A small Krathen, barely 3 feet tall, stood on a table. His fur was still soft with youth, marked with lighter stripes than an adult. His claws were extended, his teeth bared. Blood dripped from his mouth. Dr. Kale lay on the floor nearby, clutching his arm. A deep bite wound pumped blood between his fingers. His face was white with shock and pain. The cub attacked him, a diplomat whispered. We were showing the young one the medical facilities. Dr. Kale tried to demonstrate a scanner. The cub thought it was a weapon. The young Krathen was making high-pitched sounds almost like screaming. His eyes were wild, rolling in his head. He was terrified. A large Krathen adult pushed through the crowd. His uniform showed high military rank, covered in medals and honors. "Rikstal, come down at once." The cub hissed at him and pressed himself lower on the table. His small body shook. "I am War Chief Tharkin, his father," the adult Krathen announced. "Everyone stay back. I will handle this." He approached slowly, using the low, growling sounds of Krathen speech. The cub watched him but did not calm. When his father got too close, Rikstal slashed at the air with his claws. Jiwoo knelt beside Dr. Kale. "Press here, hard. Help is coming." She turned to a human security officer. "Get another medical team here now. He needs surgery." Commander Velthrax arrived, his heavy footsteps announcing him before he entered. He assessed the situation instantly. The cub is in a fear frenzy. He cannot hear reason right now. "Then we must restrain him," Tharkin said, "before he hurts someone else." "With respect, War Chief, that may make it worse," Velthrax replied. "A cub in this state might die from shock if forcibly restrained." The young Rikstal continued his terrified sounds. He had backed into a corner of the table now, making himself as small as possible while still showing his teeth. Jiwoo stood up. She walked toward the table. "No," Dr. Kale gasped. "Do not, he will kill you." Minyo grabbed her arm. "Jiwoo, wait. Let the Krathen handle their own." She gently pulled free. "He is not being aggressive. He is scared." "He just bit through Dr. Kale's arm," Minho said urgently. "Because he was scared," Jiwoo repeated. She continued forward. Commander Velthrax stepped into her path. "Little human, this is not your concern. You will get yourself killed." Jiwoo looked up at him. "Move, Commander." Something in her voice made him step aside. Perhaps it was the complete lack of fear. Perhaps it was the certainty in her scarred face. Whatever it was, the massive predator moved. Jiwoo approached the table slowly. She did not look directly at the cub. Instead, she angled her body sideways, making herself appear smaller, less threatening. Her movements were careful and deliberate. The cub watched her, his breath coming in rapid pants. 3 feet from the table, Jiwoo stopped. She made a sound in her throat, low and rumbling. It was not human. It was not quite Krathen either. It was something in between. Rikstal's ears twitched. Jiwoo made the sound again, slightly different this time. Then she slowly lowered herself to one knee. She kept her hands visible, palms up, showing the thick white scars that covered them. The cub tilted his head. His panting slowed a little. Jiwoo made a third sound, this one higher and shorter. A question. She kept her eyes lowered. Not challenging, but not submitting either. Just present. Just there. Rikstal's claws slowly retracted. He took one cautious step forward on the table. The room was absolutely silent. Even the wounded Dr. Kell stopped moving, afraid to break whatever spell was happening. Jiwoo raised her eyes to meet the cub's gaze. She made one more sound, softer than the others. An invitation. The young Krathen approached the edge of the table. His nose twitched, scenting the air. He could smell her, smell the old wounds on her skin, smell something else that made his instincts quiet. Then, slowly, deliberately, Rikstal lowered his head. He jumped down from the table and walked to Jiwoo, his small body pressed against her knee. He pushed his forehead against her scarred hand. Someone in the crowd gasped. War Chief Tharkin made a choking sound. Jiwoo gently placed her hand on the cub's head. She made another soft sound, and Rikstal made a small chirping noise in response. The fear was leaving his eyes. "Impossible," Velthrax whispered. Jiwoo stood slowly, keeping her hand on the cub. He followed her like a shadow as she led him to a quiet corner away from the crowd. She sat down and he curled up beside her, his breathing finally slowing to normal. She checked him carefully. "No injuries, just stress and fear," she murmured softly to him, making those strange sounds that were almost Krathen but not quite. The medical team arrived and rushed to Dr. Kale. War Chief Tharkin stood frozen, staring at his son pressed trustingly against the scarred human. Commander Velthrax approached carefully. "What did you do?" "I told him he was safe," Jiwoo said simply. "In our language? But you are human. We never taught humans our speech. I taught myself a long time ago. A different species, but similar." She looked up at him. "You asked where I got my scars, Commander? This is how. This is why." Velthrax knelt beside her, which was remarkable in itself. A Krathen commander kneeling before a human. the gesture he made, pressing his head to your hand. Do you know what that means? No. It is what cubs do to their mothers, or to alpha predators who have proven they will protect the pack. His voice was quiet, almost reverent.
It is our most sacred trust.
He has named you Protector. Jiwoo continued, gently stroking the cub's head. Young Rixtel made small, content sounds. You were not running when you got those scars, Velthrak said. It was not a question anymore. You were protecting something just as you said. Yes, the commander stood. He looked at her for a long moment, and she saw something new in his eyes. Not mockery, not amusement. Something that might have been respect. I owe you an apology, Medical Officer Han Jiwoo. A formal one before witnesses, as honor demands. Later, she said. Right now he needs to return to his father. War Chief Tharkin approached slowly, his massive frame somehow humble. May I? Jiwoo made a soft sound to the cub. Rixtel looked up at her, then at his father, then back to her. She nodded. The cub slowly went to Tharkin, who gathered him up gently. Thank you, the war chief said. His voice was thick with emotion. You saved my son's life. This debt cannot be repaid. Jiwoo stood, brushing off her uniform. No debt. He just needed someone who understood. As they carried the cub away, Minho helped her to her feet. How did you learn to do that? She looked at her scarred hands. The hard way. Ambassador Yoon Daeho appeared in the doorway. He met her eyes across the room and nodded once. It was time. Time to tell them everything. They gathered in a private conference room. Commander Velthrak stood near the door, his posture stiff. War Chief Tharkin sat with his son sleeping in his arms. Ambassador Yoon Daeho sat at the head of the table. Minho leaned against the wall, arms crossed. A woman Jiwoo had not met before sat beside the ambassador, studying her with intelligent eyes. This is Park Suman, Yoon Daeho introduced her. She is a xenobiologist. She studied what happened on Gyeongsan 4. Jiwoo sat down slowly. She had known this moment would come eventually. She had hoped it would be later. Gyeongsan 4, Velthrax rumbled. I know this name. A human colony world. There was an incident with native predators 10 years ago. Yes, Ambassador Yoon said. An incident that changed everything we thought we knew about human-predator relations. Medical Officer Han, would you tell them what happened? In your own words. Jiwoo was quiet for a long time. Her fingers traced the scars on her left hand, following the white lines without seeing them. Finally, she spoke. I was 18. The colony had been on Gyeongsan 4 for 3 years. We thought we had everything under control. The planet had native predators called Varan, like wolves but bigger, much bigger. 600 pounds, sometimes more. We had fences, barriers, warning systems. They stayed in the wild. We stayed in the colony, she paused. Tharkin leaned forward, listening carefully. Even the sleeping cub seemed to settle deeper into his father's arms. The 4th winter was harsh. The Varan's normal prey moved away, following the weather patterns. The packs were starving, desperate. One pack found a weak point in our barrier system. They got into the residential sector. Jiwoo's hand moved to the scars on her face. I was studying xenobiology at the Colony University. I was in my apartment when the alarm started. My building was in the breach zone. Security forces were mobilizing, but they were minutes away. I heard something outside my door. Scratching, heavy breathing. The room was completely silent. I looked through the door camera. A mother Varan. 3 cubs with her, barely weaned. The cubs were dying. I could see it. Starving, too weak to stand properly. The mother was not attacking. She was protecting them. She had brought them into the colony looking for food, warmth, anything. But she had become trapped in the residential sector. You should have waited for security, Velthrak said quietly. I should have, Jiwoo agreed. But I heard the security team's communications. They were coming with lethal force. Protocol for predator breach. Kill everything in the zone, secure the perimeter. I understood the protocol. It made sense. But those cubs were dying anyway. They had done nothing wrong except be born into a hungry season. Park Suman spoke for the first time. Her voice was gentle. Tell them what you did. I opened the door. Minho made a sound of disbelief. You opened it? I opened the door. I stepped out slowly. The mother saw me. She charged. I had 3 seconds before she reached me. Jiwoo's voice was flat, emotionless, reciting facts. I dropped to my knees. I put my arms up, not to fight, just up. She hit me like a transport vehicle. Her claws went through my hands, my arms. Her teeth caught my face. I felt my bones crack. Tharkin held his son closer. I did not fight back. I did not run. I held still. She bit down on my shoulder, shaking me. I think she was confused. Prey runs or fights. I did neither. I just held still and spoke to her. Spoke to her? Velthrax asked. What could you say? Not words. Sounds. I made sounds in my throat, trying to copy what I had heard in wildlife recordings. I do not know if they meant anything, but I kept making them. The mother stopped Ji-Mi. Her teeth were still in my shoulder, but she stopped. Jiwoo looked at her hands. I slowly moved one arm. She growled, warning me, but I kept moving very slowly. I reached toward the nearest cub. It was lying on its side, barely breathing. I touched it. The mother released me. She backed up one step, watching. I pulled the cub toward me. It was too weak to resist. I checked its vital signs like I had been taught in my xenobiology classes. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, hypothermia. I took off my jacket and wrapped the cub in it. The mother watched everything I did. Park Soo-min pulled up a holographic display. Images appeared in the air above the table. A young Jiwoo covered in blood, cradling a dying alien cub. A massive predator standing over her, watching. Security forces arrived while she was working, Soo-min explained. They found Medical Officer Han Bleedical Kit on it. She was giving it IV fluids while her own blood pooled on the ground. The security team wanted to shoot, Jiwoo continued. I shouted at them not to. I told them the mother was protecting, not hunting. I told them to back away. They thought I was in shock, dying. Maybe I was. But I refused to move. I stayed with the cub. More images appeared. The mother Varen slowly approaching Jiwoo, sniffing the cub, then incredibly, lying down beside the human, allowing her to continue treatment. One cub survived that night, Jiwoo said. Only one. The other two died despite everything I tried. But that one cub lived, and the mother knew I had tried to save them all. She knew. What happened after? Minyo asked quietly. I spent 2 months in medical recovery. During that time, the mother Varen stayed near the colony. She would not leave. She brought food and left it near the hospital. At first, everyone thought she was dangerous, waiting to attack. But Park Soo-min realized the truth. The mother had imprinted on me as pack. Soo-min nodded. It is extremely rare. But predator species with strong social structures can adopt non-species members into their pack if those members prove themselves through extraordinary acts. By risking her life to save the cubs, Officer Han became pack to the mother. The mother was bringing food as tribute, as thanks. After I recovered, Jiwoo said, I began studying the Varen seriously. I learned their body language, their vocalizations, their social structures. I realized they were not just animals. They had complex communication, family bonds, even what might be called culture. They were semi-sentient. You changed everything, Ambassador Yoon said. Because of your work, we established peaceful relations with the Varen. They are now protected. The colony trades with them, communicates with them. No more killing, no more fear. Velthrax stood and approached Jiwoo slowly. He knelt before her, bringing his eyes level with hers. In my culture, warriors earn scars in battle, but legends earn scars in mercy. You are legend-marked, Han Jiwoo. I mocked what I did not understand. I apologize before these witnesses as honor demands. I accept your apology, Jiwoo said simply. War Chief Tharkin spoke, his voice deep and solemn. What my son did today, pressing his head to your hand, and young predators know. They can sense who has the spirit of a protector. He knew you would keep him safe because you have done it before. You carry the proof on your skin. The scars are proof of something else too, Park Soo-min added. They show that humans have a unique ability among galactic species. We can stand between predator and prey and speak to both. We do not belong fully to either category. We are something. Ambassador Yoon leaned forward. Which brings us to why you are really here, medical officer. Why I specifically requested you. Jiwoo looked at him. You mentioned a situation. Yes, a crisis that requires someone with your exact skills. Something has been brought to this station. A creature. Young, injured, terrified, and extremely dangerous. It has killed 17 Krathan warriors. We have it in containment, but it is dying. And if it dies, we may start a war that could destroy this entire sector. What kind of creature? Jiwoo asked. Yoon pulled up another holographic image. Jay stared at it. The creature was massive, bear-like, covered in dark fur. Its eyes in the image were wild, filled with pain and rage. "We call them Torvin," Yoon said. "We know almost nothing about them except that they come from a remote sector, and they are incredibly powerful. This one killed 17 warriors in self-defense before we subdued it. But we think it is just a juvenile. We think it is sentient, and we think its family is looking for it. If it dies in our custody," Velthrax added, "On may declare war. We need to heal it. We need to return it, but no one can get close to it without being killed." Jiwoo looked at the image for a long time. She saw the fear beneath the rage. She saw the desperation. She had seen that look before in a Mother Varen's eyes on a cold night 10 years ago. "When do you need me to try?" she asked. "Tomorrow," Ambassador Yoon said. "It is getting weaker." "We have very little time," Jiwoo stood. "Then I should prepare. I will need everything you have on the Torvin. Every recording, every observation. I need to understand them before I walk into that room." "You will have everything," Yoon promised. As the meeting ended and people filed out, Minho caught up with Jiwoo in the corridor. "Are you sure about this? 17 warriors dead. Those were trained Krathen fighters." "I know. This is not like calming a scared cub. I know that too." He looked at her scars. "But you are going to try anyway." "Yes. Why?" Jiwoo thought about it. "Because no one else can. Because that creature is scared and alone and does not deserve to die in a cage. Because maybe, if I can reach it, we can stop a war." She met his eyes. "And because 10 years ago someone could have shot a Mother Varen and her cubs. They could have followed protocol. But instead they gave me a chance to try something different. This creature deserves the same chance." Minho nodded slowly. "All right, I will be part of your tomorrow. Someone has to weigh." The containment level was deep in the station's core. Jiwoo rode the transport lift down with Ambassador Yoon, Commander Velthrax, and Minho. No one spoke. The silence was heavy with tension. The lift doors opened to reveal a corridor lined with armed guards. Krathen warriors in full combat armor stood at attention. Their weapons were powerful enough to punch through starship hulls. They watched Jiwoo with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "This way," Velthrax said quietly. They walked past 3 security checkpoints. At each one, guards scanned their identities and checked their authorization. The security here was tighter than anywhere else on the station. Finally, they reached a massive door. Beyond it, Jiwoo could hear sounds. Heavy breathing, the scrape of claws on metal, a low rumbling growl that made the hair on her arms stand up. "The containment cell is reinforced," Velthrax explained. "The walls can withstand starship weapons fire. The creature has tried to break through 17 times. It is getting weaker, but it is still extremely dangerous." Ambassador Yoon handed Jiwoo a small device. "This is an emergency beacon. If anything goes wrong, press it. We will flood the room with sedative gas and pull you out." "That will kill it," Jiwoo said. "You told me it is already weak." "Better the creature dies than you," Minho said firmly. Jiwoo clipped the beacon to her belt but said nothing. They all knew she would not use it. A viewing window looked into the containment cell. Jiwoo approached it and looked inside. Her breath caught in her throat. The Torvin was even larger than the images suggested. It stood nearly 12 feet tall, covered in thick dark fur. Its body was bear-like but leaner, built for both power and speed. Its paws were massive, tipped with claws as long as her fingers. Its face was broad and intelligent, with deep-set eyes that glowed amber in the harsh lights. But what struck her most was the condition it was in. The creature was covered in wounds, burns from energy weapons, deep cuts from blades. One of its legs was badly injured, causing it to limp. Its breathing was labored, painful. Worst of all was its eyes. They were not the eyes of a mindless beast. They showed intelligence, awareness, and absolute terror. "How long has it been contained?" Jiwoo asked. 4 days, Velthrax answered. "It has not eaten. It barely drinks. We have tried to treat its injuries remotely, but it destroys any drones we send in." "It thinks it is going to die here," Jiwoo said softly. "It thinks we are going to kill it. We may have to," a new voice said. Jiwoo turned to see a Krathen female approaching. She was even larger than Velthrax, her fur silver with age. Her uniform carried more decorations than Jiwoo had ever seen. "I am Sovereign Kilthrax. I command the Krathen fleet. This creature killed my warriors. If it cannot be saved and returned, I will order its execution before it causes more harm." "Your sovereignty," Ambassador Yoon said carefully. We discussed this. If the creature dies, the Torvin may declare war, yes. But if that creature breaks free and kills more of my people, we will definitely have war. Her amber eyes fixed on Jiwoo. You are the human healer, the one who tamed my war chief's cub. I did not tame him. I calmed him. Can you calm that? Kilthrax gestured to the massive predator beyond the glass. Jiwoo watched the Torvin pace in its cell. 3 steps forward, turn, 3 steps back. Over and over. The behavior of a caged animal losing hope. I do not know, but I can try. If you fail, you will die. I know. Kilthrax studied her for a long moment. Why would you risk this? This creature is not your species, not your concern. It is scared and hurt and alone, Jiwoo said simply. That makes it my concern. Something flickered in the Sovereign's eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or respect. Very well. You may make your attempt, but understand this, human. If that creature harms you, we will kill it immediately. And if you succeed, you will have earned something very rare. You will have earned the gratitude of the Krathen people. Jiwoo nodded. She turned to the containment door. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady. She had been scared before. She had faced teeth and claws and death. She had survived. She could survive again or she would die trying. I am going in, she said. Wait. Minho grabbed her arm. At least take a weapon. A stun baton. Something. No, weapons will make it more afraid. Jiwoo, this is insane. She looked at him and smiled slightly. I opened a door for a starving Varen mother once. This is not that different. That nearly killed you, but it did not. She gently pulled free from his grip. If I do not come out, tell Dr. Kale he is a good physician. He just needs more confidence. You are coming out, Minho said fiercely. We will see. Commander Velthrax approached the door controls. Once you are inside, we seal the door. For everyone's safety, you will be alone with it. I understand. The human colony on Gyeongsun 4. Velthrax said quietly. They named something after you. I looked it up. The Jiwoo Protocol. It means approaching danger with empty hands and an open heart. I did not name it that. But you created it. He placed his massive hand on the door release. May your protocol work again today, medical officer. May your scars give you strength. The door opened with a hiss of hydraulics. The sounds from inside grew louder. Breathing, growling, the scrape of claws. The smell hit her immediately. Blood, fear, and something wild. Jiwoo stepped through the doorway. The door sealed behind her with a final definite clang. She was alone with the Torvin. The creature spotted her immediately. Its head swung toward her, ears flat against its skull. Its lips pulled back, revealing teeth as long as her hand. The growl that came from its throat rattled her bones. Jiwoo did not run. She did not reach for the emergency beacon. She simply stood still, 3 meters from a creature that could tear her apart in seconds. The Torvin took a step toward her. Its injured leg dragged slightly. Pain was in every movement. It growled again, louder, warning her. Jiwoo slowly lowered herself to her knees. She placed her hands on the floor, palms down. Her scarred hands. She lowered her head, not in submission, but in respect. The Torvin stopped. Its growl quieted slightly. Jiwoo made a sound. Not human speech. Not quite animal either. Something in between. Pulled from her memories of Varen and study recordings and instinct. A sound that said, I am not hunting. I am not fighting. I am here. The Torvin's ears twitched forward slightly. She made another sound. This one rising at the end, a question. Are you hurt? Do you need help? The creature took another step closer. Its breathing was harsh, labored. This close, Jiwoo could see every wound, every burn, every sign of its suffering. She made a third sound. Lower, softer. A promise. I will not harm you. The Torvin was only a meter away now. She could feel the heat from its body, could smell its breath. One swipe of those claws and she would be dead. Jiwoo slowly raised her head. She looked into the creature's amber eyes. They were so much like a Varen's eyes, like the Krathen cub's eyes, intelligent, aware, desperate. I know you are scared, she whispered, not expecting it to understand the words, only the tone. I know you hurt. I know you want to go home. The Torvin tilted its massive head, studying her, trying to understand. Jiwoo slowly extended one hand, palm up, showing her scars, showing that she too had been hurt, had survived, had healed. I can help. If you let me, please, let me help. The creature leaned forward. Its wet nose touched her palm. Hot breath washed over her scarred skin. For a moment, everything hung in perfect balance. Life or death, trust or terror. Then slowly the Torvin lowered its head. Not attacking, not threatening, just tired. So very tired. Jiwoo moved carefully. She touched the creature's face gently. It flinched but did not pull away. She made soft sounds, continuous and soothing. She ran her hands through its fur, checking for injuries, for fever, for signs of infection. The Torvin's breathing gradually slowed. Its body relaxed slightly. After a few minutes, it lay down on the floor with a heavy sigh. Jiwoo sat beside it. She continued her gentle examination. So many wounds, so much pain, but nothing beyond healing if treated properly. "You are young," she murmured. "Just a young one, lost and scared. They hurt you. I am sorry they hurt you, but I will help you heal, and then we will find your family." "I promise," the Torvin made a sound. Not a growl. Something softer, questioning. Jiwoo responded with a similar sound. The beginning of conversation. The start of trust. Outside the containment cell, everyone watched through the viewing window in stunned silence. Commander Velthrax's claws dug into his palms. Minho's hand hovered over the emergency release, ready to flood the room with gas at the first sign of attack. But no attack came. Instead, they watched as the small, scarred human sat beside the massive predator and began, somehow, to heal more than just its physical wounds. Sovereign Kilthrax watched without moving. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. "I have commanded warriors for 50 years. I have seen battle, conquest, and glory, but I have never seen anything like this. This is what humans do," Ambassador Yoon said quietly. "When everyone else sees monsters, they see people. When everyone else sees enemies, they see the scared and hurt. It is their gift to the galaxy." Inside the cell, Jiwoo worked steadily. She treated wounds, cleaned infections, spoke in soft sounds that bridged species and understanding. The Torvin watched her with eyes that slowly, gradually began to lose their terror. Trust was being built. Hope was being restored, and somewhere in the scars on her hands, written in the language of survival and compassion, was the promise that everything could heal if given the chance. Jiwoo spent 4 hours in the containment cell. The Torvin allowed her to treat its wounds, clean its injuries, and provide it with water. It drank cautiously at first, then more eagerly as trust built. By the end, the massive creature had its head resting in her lap while she worked on a deep cut across its shoulder. When she finally emerged, exhausted and covered in the Torvin's fur, the gathered officials stared at her in amazement. "It is stable," she reported. "The injuries are serious but treatable. It needs antibiotics, pain medication, and time. Most importantly, it needs to go home." Sovereign Kilthrax stepped forward. The ancient Krathan leader looked at Jiwoo with an expression that might have been awe. "What you did in there should have been impossible. That creature killed 17 of my finest warriors, yet it lay in your lap like a cub with its mother." "It was scared," Jiwoo said simply. "Everything is less frightening when someone shows kindness. Kindness." Kilthrax repeated the word as if testing it. "We Krathan have many words for strength, for honor, for courage. But kindness? We consider it weakness. Yet I watched you show this kindness to a creature that could have killed you, and I saw something I do not have words for." She turned to face the assembled officials and warriors. Her voice rang out clearly. "I am Sovereign Kilthrax, commander of the Krathan fleet, protector of the warrior creed. I have led my people for 50 years. I have conquered systems and defeated enemies, but today I witnessed something greater than any conquest." The Sovereign removed something from her belt. It was a blade, ancient and ceremonial, its handle carved from the tooth of some massive beast. "This weapon has been carried by Krathan sovereigns for 3,000 years. It has seen countless battles. It represents everything we value: strength, power, dominance." She approached Jiwoo and knelt. A sovereign, kneeling. The shock rippled through every Krathan present. "Han Jiwoo, you have shown a strength greater than any warriors. You faced death with empty hands and survived through courage of a kind we have forgotten. In ancient times, before we became a warrior culture, we had a title, Sharketh. It means Mother of Fang and Claw. It was given to those who protected predator young at risk to themselves, who understood that true strength is not in taking life, but in preserving it." Kilthrax held out the blade. No alien has ever been given this title. No non-Krathan has ever earned it. Until now. "I name you Sharketh, Han Jiwoo. This blade is yours. Carry it as a symbol of the honor you have earned this day. Jiwoo took the blade with shaking hands. It was heavier than it looked, warm from the sovereign's belt. I do not know what to say. Say you will help us learn what you know, Kilthrax replied. Say you will teach my warriors that there are victories greater than battle. I will try. The sovereign stood and turned to Commander Velthrax. You mocked this human when she arrived. You laughed at her scars and called her weak. Velthrax stepped forward immediately. He removed his helmet and knelt before Jiwoo. I did. I was wrong. I saw scars and assumed defeat. I did not understand they were marks of the greatest victory, choosing mercy when violence would have been easier. He looked up at her. I apologize again formally and completely. I beg your forgiveness and ask to learn from you. You are forgiven, Jiwoo said quietly. You did not know. Now you do. That is what matters. Ambassador Yoon stepped forward, a small smile on his face. This is precisely why I brought you here, medical officer. But the situation is larger than one Torvin. We need to return this young one to its people. We need to make contact with the Torvin civilization, and we need someone who can bridge that gap. He pulled up a holographic display. I am proposing a new position in the Galactic Coalition. Interspecies Empathy Liaison. Someone who specializes in connecting predator and prey species, in preventing conflicts through understanding rather than force. You would be the first. Park Suman joined them. I have been researching. There are other humans like you, people who have worked with dangerous species, who have learned to communicate in ways others cannot. I have identified 3 so far. A woman named Lee Hana, who works with the volcanic predators of Talos 3. A man named Kim Doyun, who established peace with the hive predators of Serendin. Another named Song Mirai, who studies pack hunters in the Outer Rim. We are recruiting them, Ambassador Yoon continued. We are building a team, a new approach to diplomacy. The human approach. Stand between enemies until everyone realizes they were never enemies at all. Minho pushed off from the wall where he had been standing. I volunteer to be part of the security team. Someone needs to watch over these crazy, brave people who walk into rooms with monsters. They are not monsters, Jiwoo said softly. I know. That is what you teach us, he smiled. But until everyone learns that lesson, you need protection. Over the next 3 days, preparations were made. The Torvin juvenile, which Jiwoo had started calling Roku because of the sound it made when content, continued to heal. It allowed medical teams to enter the containment cell as long as Jiwoo was present. It ate properly for the first time in a week. Its injuries began to close. On the 4th day, a ship was prepared. A small delegation would travel to Torvin territory to attempt first contact and return Roku to its people. The delegation included Ambassador Yoon, Commander Velthrax, Jiwoo, Minho, and Park Suman. War Chief Tharkin volunteered to join them, bringing young Rixtal, who had refused to leave Jiwoo's side since the incident in the medical bay. The night before departure, Jiwoo stood in the observation deck looking at the stars. She held the ceremonial blade the sovereign had given her, feeling its weight. Minho found her there. Nervous? Yes, we are going into unknown territory to meet a species that might not want to see us. But you are going anyway. Someone has to. She touched the scars on her face. I used to hate these. I thought they were ugly signs of failure, but everyone keeps telling me they are something else. What do you think they are? Jiwoo considered the question. Proof. Proof that standing between danger and innocence is worth the cost. Proof that you can survive trying to do the right thing. Proof that scars can be beautiful if they were earned protecting something precious. The sovereign called you Sharketh, mother of Fang and Claw. Do you know what the human colonists on Gyeongsan 4 call you? No, the bridge. Because you connected 2 worlds that were killing each other. He gestured to the station around them. Now you are doing it again. Connecting predator and prey, Krathen and humans, Torvin and everyone else. You are building bridges everywhere you go. I am just trying to help. That is what makes you special. You do not see it as special. You see a scared creature and you think I should help. Most people see danger. You see someone who needs kindness. The next morning, they departed. The ship was small but fast, designed for diplomatic missions. Roku traveled in a specialized hold, large enough for comfort but secure. Jiwoo visited him every few hours, speaking in the sounds they had developed together. Young Rixtal spent most of the how she interacted with the larger predator. The cub was fascinated, asking questions in the growling Krathan language that Jiwoo was slowly learning to understand. "Why does Roku trust you?" the cub asked one day. "Because I showed him I would not hurt him." "But you are small. He could hurt you." "Yes, but I chose to trust him first." Sometimes, that is how trust works. Someone has to be brave enough to go first. The journey took 5 days. As they approached Torvan territory, long-range sensors detected something. Ships. Dozens of them. Large, powerful, moving in formation. A search party. A war communication signals on all frequencies. Peace messages. A request to talk. An explanation that they had a juvenile Torvan and wanted to return him. For hours there was no response. The Torvan ships continued approaching. Weapon systems were active. The tension on the bridge was suffocating. Then, finally, a response. Not words, a signal. A pattern of sounds. Complex, layered, beautiful. Park Suman worked frantically at her console. It is a language. They are communicating. They are asking. I think they are asking about their young one. Jiwoo stood. "Bring me to communications." "Let me try." They connected her to the broadcast system. She made the sounds she had learned from Roku. The same patterns, the same tones. She spoke as best she could, telling them their young one was safe, was healing, wanted to come home. Silence. Then the Torvan ships changed course. They were not attacking. They were forming an escort pattern. "They are guiding us," the pilot said with relief. "They trust us." They were led to a massive station orbiting a green and blue planet. Torvan of all sizes moved through the docking areas. When Roku was brought out, his injuries visible but healing, an enormous female rushed forward. The resemblance was clear. His mother. The reunion was gentle and emotional. The mother examined her young one carefully, making soft sounds. Then she turned to Jiwoo and approached slowly. Jiwoo stood still, heart pounding, as the massive Torvan leaned down and sniffed her. The mother made a sound, questioning. Jiwoo responded with Roku's name sound and gestures showing protection, healing, care. The mother Torvan made a deep, rumbling sound. Then she pressed her forehead to Jiwoo's chest gently, a gesture of thanks, a promise of friendship. First contact was made not through weapons or demands, but through the simple act of returning a lost child home. Over.